To start off, I'm going to say Kerry Lutz has always been a class act. I met Kerry Lutz in person, did an interview. He's a genuine person. Now, I think some of his guests are full of baloney, but I think that Kerry Lutz is a genuine person. And Kerry Lutz he's not a pumper. He might have pumpers on his channel, but he himself tries to be as neutral as he can be. And also, Illuminati Silver has been doing a shout out for me. Thank you to him. He did a video. He's done some videos that might be controversial for quote silver, because he's like, questioning some silver gurus. And before I get to that point, I want to talk about precious metals as a group. So there are at least 4 precious metals, of course: silver, gold, platinum, palladium, and there's rhodium. Now, rhodium does not make good bullion because it's brittle. As in, you get a brick of rhodium and you drop it and it's going to crack. So it's kind of a pseudo-precious metal, but out of the 5 of those metals, it's the scarcest by far. Rhodium is so scarce, it makes silver seem plentiful by comparison. Rhodium is like the scarcest of the scarce of these metals. But what's the price doing? Recently, the bid price of rhodium was in the 700s. Okay, essentially, we're going back 11 years for the price action. We're going back 11 years. I mean, 11 years ago, and now rhodium's trading at the same level. So that's a big pullback. And if you really want to get crazy, go to the Kitco and look at the rhodium historical prices. And in 79, there were higher prices than rhodium, but of course that's the gold and silver explosion, so that's not a good look. But look in the 90s. In the early 90s, there were times when rhodium traded at several times the current price. So as far as, I guess, speculation, this rhodium is a big wild card, and it's a lesson on scarcity and supply and demand. When people say you should buy this because the supply is so low, well, using that argument, the rhodium's the king of that argument because rhodium is so scarce, yet scarcity is only one part of the equation. And that's a good lesson for markets as a whole, and especially metals, is look at the scarcity of rhodium and look at the price action, and the scarcity only tells you one factor in the story. So I want to get back to the big point of this video about Mike Maloney calling people suckers, okay? He doesn't get up there every day and say, you are suckers, or suckers, right? He only used the word suckers only a few times in the many years that I've listened to him. The word suckers, but he's implied it all the time. Let me explain. The entire strategy that Mike Maloney has laid out over the years is that you're going to buy silver at these levels, and at some time, you're going to dump your silver on the masses at a high price. And he's even used the word suckers for the people you'll dump it on. Not very often, but he has used it at least once publicly in a video or whatever, going back many years, right? He has used it at least once, the word suckers. And Robert Kiyosaki has used it more than once. And in an interview with Mike and with Robert said the word suckers, and Mike was kind of like, like this next to him, right? So that they're in their joint discussion, there was at least once when Mike was with Kiyosaki and at once elsewhere. Now, that being said, people are saying, how can you be saying that Mike's calling his people watching him suckers? Well, let's do a logical test here. So, the silver plan. You buy silver low and you dump on the suckers when it hits its all-time high, okay? So silver hit about 50 a few years ago. Now it's under 15, okay? So using that logical test, who were the suckers? Well, the people who bought close to 50. But wait a second, the people who bought close to 50 were told that there's a whole new batch of suckers coming. And you're going to get oil wells, you're going to get a middle-class house for a bar of silver when silver was around 50. But here's the thing about markets, is you don't know when the top is going to be, right? It could be very well that silver had blown past 50 and hit 150. That could have happened a few years ago. That was a very possible scenario. In fact, the most critical silver haters, even when silver was 50, have said this thing could keep going. It could hit 150. We don't know when it's going to stop. A lot of these silver critics were saying, yeah, when silver was 50, it could keep going. We don't know when the trend's going to end. And that's the rub, right? Is nobody knows when it's going to end, when it's going up like that. You don't know. But when the trend breaks, you know it, right? So it's going like this and the trend broke. Now, when you're in the when you're buying something and your philosophy is to buy low and to sell high, and you hope you can buy it really low and you hope you can sell it really high, you have entered a realm. You are in the realm of speculation. You will want to buy low and you want to sell high. Now, this is not people who are trying to preserve wealth. Preserving wealth's another philosophy. There are a lot of people whose goal was to preserve wealth. But when silver was at 50, I mean, the gurus were not saying preserve wealth. The gurus were saying get rich. I mean, the whole idea that you can buy a bar of silver, like not a car-sized bar, but a bar you can hold in your hands and get a middle-class house for it, that is some serious speculation. Let's be honest. I mean, if you think that you can invest, a few $1,000s and get a middle-class house in the near future, I mean, that's some serious speculation. And you have entered a realm of winners and losers, if that's your goal. And if your timing is off, you could become the loser. And what happened with silver was at almost 50, these promises, right, about, silver is going to get you this, this, and that. I mean, no one knew where the top be. So in effect, if the top really was 1,000, if it had really gone to 1,000, yes, the people who bought, anybody who bought now would have been the winners, and the suckers would be the ones who had sold their middle-class house for a bar of silver. But that didn't happen. The cutoff point for suckers is when the uptrend ends, right? Until the uptrend ends, nobody's a sucker. They're all winners. You're all winners. You're in an uptrend, you're a winner. When it breaks the uptrend and it's going down, if you bought at the top and now it's 14, 15, you are one of the suckers. And Mike Maloney, he logically said that. If you follow his progression of logic, he's calling all those people suckers, the ones who bought near 50, because he said we're going to buy low, and when it's high, we're going to dump on the suckers. He only used the word suckers a few times, but he used it. Even if he doesn't use the word suckers, his strategy is being laid out. And the thing was, it didn't go to 150, it didn't go to 1,000, it stopped at about 50. And that's the logical leap you have to make. You got to follow the Actually, it's not a leap. That's the logical progression you have to make. Because the leaps comes with faith. Faith. With the logic, you follow it step by step. And those were the steps he laid out. He did say he didn't know when it was going to hit the top. And by the way, why are people hanging on his every word? I mean, on another channel, if I say this, people want me to reply within the minute. They don't want me to wait days to reply. They want me to be glued to my screen waiting to reply to them because this discussion is so important to them. Mike Maloney's every word is so important. If Mike Maloney's every word and what he said and how he said it and when he said it, if that means anything to you, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. If being a Mike Maloney analyst is important to you of what he said and when he said it, you're in big, big trouble, all right? I mean, if you really want to know the history, mantra history, you read your own books and you discover that he leaves out centuries of history to paint his own picture. All right, thanks for watching and be well. And what I want to say is I see all of you as people and human beings, and this is a discussion of opinions, of not of people. I'm sure you're all great people, and be well.